Hi and welcome back to Vlogust. We're almost at the end of the month. Can you believe it? Just today, Friday, and Saturday. And then Vlogust is over. It has been a little bit time consuming, but it's been a lot of bit fun. Thanks for hanging out with me. In a video that I did recently, which was titled something like Preparing for the Big Storm, I found a hidden nest where my chickens had been getting under the fence of the garden, going behind a bush and laying in there, which explains why I haven't had enough eggs recently. Jared asked me how much I sell my eggs for, and I will answer him in the comments section of that video, but I thought because today I'm getting eggs ready for delivery that I would kind of talk to you about our eggs and our process and our prices and all of that. So if you have more questions after this video is done, be sure and leave them in the comments. I do my best to get back with you within about 24 hours. If I'm not able to, then it's usually within a couple days. I have 2 bins of eggs here. I have this basket of eggs right here, and I also have this bin of eggs. The reason for that is because some of my egg customers want their eggs washed while others want them unwashed. And you might be wondering what the difference is, especially if you're used to getting eggs from the grocery store, which are refrigerated and have been washed. In the United States, all of our commercial eggs that are bought in the grocery store have been cleaned and have to be refrigerated. They're sold in the refrigerator section in grocery stores. However, in much of the world, that's not the case. Eggs have a natural coating on them called the bloom. This protects the baby chick inside from any outside contaminants coming in. In an unfertilized egg, or an egg that's not developing into a chick, there's also that coating is still there and it protects the contents inside the shell from the same contaminants. That way, if you have unwashed eggs, you can store them on the counter as long as, some people say, up to a couple months. I generally use the eggs we're going to eat here within a week or 2, and they're safe up to that point. If it's got a little bit of schmutz on it, I'll just, clean it off right before we eat it, or wait, and if it's really dirty, I'll wash it right before we eat it. That way we don't have to keep eggs in the refrigerator. Some of my customers, however, prefer to get their eggs already washed and ready for the refrigerator, and that's absolutely fine. Before I talk about this cloth, I want to say that nothing in this video is sponsored. I'm not a consultant of anything. I'm not throwing a party. I'm not asking you to buy anything. I'm just going to explain what we use, the products that we prefer, and then you can make your own decision and do your own research. This cloth happens to be from a company called Norwex, and I like it because they embed silver into their microfiber. It's really great. You can clean anything with just water. You don't have to have chemicals. So I will dry the washed eggs with that because it has an antibacterial property and it will actually get it clean of any contaminants that might be left on after washing. And then I'll put them immediately into our cartons. I'll also use this to clean off, just kind of dust off the eggs that haven't been washed. I buy our boxes from a company called the Egg Carton Store. I've talked about them a lot in other videos. I will put a link to that in the end cards. I'm not going to go into it right here, but one of the reasons I like this company is I can get eggs with a blank spot on front, and we have stamps and I can stamp the eggs with our farm name. In most states, including Missouri, you can sell directly from your home to a consumer without having a license. And in Missouri, you can get a limited egg seller's license, which would also allow me to sell at farmers markets. I have that. It's $5 a year. There are some requirements. I have my license number, my address and phone number on the side of the carton so that anybody can have it. I'm also allowed to reuse these cartons if they're clean. So I ask my customers to please recycle them. Sometimes they come back really clean, sometimes they don't. They come back with bits of shell or yolk or whatever in there. In that case, I tear the lid off just so that I know it's not a clean carton, and then we use it as fireplace starter, grill starter. I will even dip some in beeswax, and I use it in the smoker when I'm checking my beehive. So there's lots of purposes for these. You could use it as a seed tray that you can then plant directly in the soil. So lots and lots of purposes to reuse these. And that's another reason I buy the cardboard or the paper cartons rather than the styrofoam kind. Right now, I have chickens that are laying tiny little eggs because they're brand new layers, and I have mature chickens laying large size eggs. I also have Easter eggers laying blue eggs. I want to make sure that everybody gets an equal variety in the boxes, so I'm going to load all the boxes, large eggs first, divide it among the egg cartons, then the Easter eggers, then the small eggs to fill any spots in that are left. So if it looks a little weird the way I'm doing it, that's why I'm doing it that way. Our eggs sell for $3 a dozen. The price you sell eggs for varies greatly, and it depends on a lot of factors. It depends on your market, it depends on how your chickens are raised, and it depends on what you're feeding them. Our chickens are free ranged, and they get a non-GMO, non-soy feed from Texas Naturals. It's available at our local store, and we really like it. It comes in a pellet form, and we have found that with the pellets we have much less waste than we do with the crumbles. So that's why we go with the pellets, and it costs us around $25 a bag, and our 30 chickens go through a bag in maybe a week and a half or so. If I were in a city or a larger market, I could get $5 a dozen for these eggs, especially since I have free-range chickens. They're not quite organic because the feed we buy is not organic, but they eat a mostly natural diet of bugs and grass and all of that, and then it's supplemented with feed. But we live in a rural area. The people who have chickens in coops and just give them the regular old feed, which costs like $5 a bag, I have seen eggs on Facebook Marketplace for as low as $1 a dozen. I cannot afford to sell my eggs that low, and I don't believe the quality should be sold that low. However, it does make my $5 a dozen price out of the range for this market. So I put mine at $3 a dozen, and it seems to be a good price. Right now, I'm selling about 7 dozen eggs a week. I have the market to sell about 10 to 14 dozen a week. I have customers on a wait list. I also have customers that buy eggs as available. So when I have a regular customer who's out of town, or when I have a, an excess of eggs, then they will get eggs at that time. If you do the math and you have 7 customers at $3 a dozen, that's roughly, well, exactly $21 a week. It's not rough anything. It's just math. And that is just enough barely to pay for their feed with a little bit left over. However, once, now that I have found that hidden nest, I should be able to up to about 10 to 12 dozen a week, in which case I should be making $30 to $35 a week-ish, which is about double, well, not quite double what I'm making now, but it's significantly more than I'm making now, and there will be some profit in the mix. The reason we continue to go through the work of selling eggs, even though they're not really super profitable, is because I say eggs are the gateway product to getting customers who want to buy local. Anybody just about will try a dozen eggs and see if they like them. And when they taste our eggs, our customers stick around and they refer us. My first maybe 3 to 5 customers, I had to really reach out to them and offer the product and see if they wanted it and make deliveries. But then word got around. I have one customer in town that just raves over the eggs, and he tells everybody, and I'm like, I don't have enough eggs for the amount of people who call wanting eggs. And last year when I had a market garden, and in the several years that we have sold pigs, which are very high profit, both of those are a much higher profit than the eggs are, those items were sold to my egg customers prior to anyone else having access to them. So it brings in market. I have egg customers who are waiting for me to have vegetables to sell. I have egg customers who are waiting for me to have honey to sell. So it lends towards, it makes good business sense to do this. Our chickens don't need a lot of care. We let them out in the morning, we put them up at night, we give them food and water and clean their nesting boxes. We have had to treat for mites once in the 5 years I've been doing this. They're out on grass, they're happy and healthy, and it's a pretty easy way to start a farm business. Why in the world do I have this ball jar on the counter when I'm talking about eggs and egg production and whether or not to wash your eggs? What in the world does this have to do with anything? Well, we are strong believers that barter is better, and I have found a producer of raw milk who sells her milk for $6 a gallon. Every week I take her a dozen eggs of $3 value and an empty jar, and I get back a full jar of raw milk in return, and usually it has been milked that morning or the night before. My family doesn't drink a lot of milk, so a half gallon is exactly what we need to get us through the week. And in fact, they would actually like to buy 2 dozen eggs a week. I had to tell her, no, I can only do a dozen a week right now because I have customers waiting. So I really need to get those chickens laying in their nesting boxes instead of in the garden. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Eggs have a natural coating on them. What is it called? My mind just went completely blank. I know that word. I get cartons from a company called Oakley. I think it's called the Egg Carton Store. Where do I buy these eggs? Oakley. No. Shh. I'm filming. Quiet on set.